You're listening to Insights with Philip Wilson, where the discussion focuses on how to maximize Social Security benefits. Considering there are 567 ways to file and 3,000 rules for filing, it's no wonder that 90% of those who file for Social Security do not receive their maximum benefits. Listen in as Philip Wilson, who is certified in Social Security claiming strategies, outlines what you need to know to get the most from your Social Security benefits.
Welcome to the show. Today I want to continue our discussion of the most important financial decision that you will make in your lifetime. The most important financial decision that you will make in your lifetime. It's the decision that 90% of the population does not make correctly. 90%. So 9 out of 10 people listening to this program right now have not or will not make the correct financial decision. And we've been talking about that, so let's just take a second to review. Why do so many people make mistakes in this area? Well, the biggest reason is they're not informed. There's a tremendous amount of information that's necessary for this decision. There's a tremendous amount of complexity that's necessary for this decision. This is the biggest reason why I teach seminars. It's the biggest reason why I'm doing this radio show. Every week you'll find me somewhere talking about this subject. A different venue, a church, a civic center, an employer, somewhere talking about this. I spend an awful lot of time every week doing it. I'm out at night. I'm away from my kids. I'm on the road. I do it because it's important to me to inform the public. It's really disheartening to me that 9 out of 10 people in this country do not make this decision correctly, because it's actually not a very difficult decision to make. It's just one that people need to be informed. I mentioned previously in previous weeks that there's very little resources available to help you make the decision. The resources that are available to help are not really resources. People think they're getting help, but they're really not. And really the biggest reason why people make mistakes is that the average person is just not aware of this, the importance of this decision. That's why I spend so much time talking about it. I want to make people aware of how important of a decision this is. The decision is when and how to file for Social Security benefits. The decision of when and how to file for Social Security benefits is the most important financial decision that you will make in your lifetime. The decision of when and how you file for your Social Security benefits is the most important financial decision that you will make in your lifetime. Studies have shown that over 90% of people filing for Social Security do not receive their maximum benefit. So 9 out of 10 people go through life paying into the system, money taken out of your paycheck, money that could have gone to your kids. They pay into the system, they get to retirement, they file for their benefits. They do not receive the maximum benefit that they are legally entitled to. So over the last few weeks and over the next few weeks, I want to teach you what you need to know to maximize your Social Security benefits. And let's just take a second to review some of the things we've been talking about. One of the things I mentioned before was that it might be surprising to you that so many different people make mistakes in this area. But very few people are aware that there are 3,000 Social Security filing rules. 3,000. There's as much complexity to the Social Security system as there is to filing your income taxes. It's not easy. Most people are not aware there's so many different rules. That's why most people make this mistake, because they don't even know that they need the information. Most people are not aware that there's over 500 different ways to file. There's actually 567 ways to file. Most people are not aware that the Social Security office is not going to help them make this decision. That's not their job. They actually are prevented from giving you advice. Their job is to prepare your paperwork, determine your eligibility, not to help you do retirement planning. That's your job. You have to know how to file. The first week I mentioned one of the things that was very amusing to me were the commercials on TV. There's a lot of commercials out there by the banks and the Wall Street firms competing for your money. You know, everybody wants to help the baby boomers with their money. Everybody wants a piece of them. And all of those commercials emphasize the same types of things. They emphasize what is your number. What is the number that you need to retire? What do you need to retire with the lifestyle that you want to retire? They all emphasize that. They emphasize the size of your portfolio. They also go on to say, well, are you on track for that? Do you know what it is? If you don't know what it is, give us a call. We'll help you figure it out. Well, when I talk to people about retirement planning, that's not what I emphasize. What I emphasize are income streams for life, income streams that you cannot outlive, income streams that are there as long as you are there. As long as you have a pulse, they are there. Streams of income are becoming more and more important for this generation in retirement because we are the first generation that will spend more years in retirement than we did working. I meet very few people that are prepared for that. Very few people that have saved enough that they can live a long life. We're all going to be frail at some point, and most of the people that I meet, not only do they not have enough saved, but they don't have enough saved if something doesn't go well, if they have a medical situation, someone needs care, someone dies. Social Security is the largest income stream that you have in your life. That's why it's so important to maximize that stream of income. Because for a lot of people who are going to live a long life, they're going to run out of assets. So their Social Security stream of income is going to be all they have. That's why I emphasize it, because I believe it's the most important component to your financial situation, the most important financial decision that you will make in your lifetime. So let's review some of the things we've been talking about with married couples. We've been talking about spousal benefits. And in particular, we've been talking about restricted application for spousal benefits. And just as a quick review, because this will lead into today's discussion, spousal benefits are a type of benefit in which married couples actually file on the earnings record of their spouse, not their own. And you do this in situations where typically one spouse does not have a lot of earnings, does not have a large Social Security benefit. This is typically in a situation with women, those that have been home taking care of children, those that have been out of the workforce, those that have sacrificed their work history, therefore their Social Security benefit. So what you will find with those couples is that spouse will be better off filing for a spousal benefit on the earnings record of their spouse rather than their own. So even though the Social Security Administration sends you this earnings statement that says this is what your benefit is, you actually don't file for that. You actually file on the record of your spouse. And this is a technique that we're going to talk a little bit more today, as well as next week, where we find people leave money on the table is because they have the opportunity to file on the earnings record of someone else. This is why so many people are uninformed. They go down to the Social Security office, they file for their benefits, there's a discussion of their work history, their benefit. There's not a discussion of the earnings record of someone else. That's why so many people make mistakes. So the first thing we talked about was a spousal benefit, which is a way for married couples to receive more money, in which one couple has a high income, the other couple has a low income. So spousal benefits give the opportunity to maximize the income for the couple. And you're eligible for that if you're age 62, you've been married for 1 year or more, and your spouse is collecting a benefit. And your spousal benefit is equal to 50% of your spouse's benefit at full retirement age. So if your spouse is receiving $3,000 a month, you could receive 50% of that, or $1,500. Is that $1,500 greater than your own benefit? That's really what the question is with a spousal benefit. Now, we also talked about a second situation with spousal benefits, and that's where the income history is a little bit more equitable with spouses, where both spouses have more significant Social Security benefits. It's not necessarily a high and a low situation, but it's more of an equal situation. And that I mentioned that there was an opportunity to file for a spousal benefit while preserving your own benefit. And that was the exception that was given to us for spousal benefits, which is the second way that we use that. And for those that have been born before 1954, that have turned 62 by 12/31/15, and are eligible for a spousal benefit, meaning they've been married for 1 year or more, and the spouse has been collecting a benefit, they have the opportunity of filing what we call a restricted application for spousal benefits. And a restricted application is where we file for a spousal benefit, but we don't take our own benefit even though we're eligible. So you actually file for 50% of your spouse's benefit, but you don't take your own benefit even though you're eligible. And you don't do that because you would like your benefit to continue to increase until age 70. So, and if you file a restricted application, the Social Security Administration is going to continue to do delay retirement credits on your benefit so that when you wake up at age 70, you are going to get that higher amount. So when you file, you do not take your benefits even though you are eligible. You collect your spousal benefit at retirement age while delaying your own benefit. Then you switch to your own benefit at age 70, so it's higher. Now that leads into today's discussion of how we can use restricted application for divorce benefits, which we'll cover when we come back from the break. All right, welcome back. I want to continue the second part of the show talking about strategies that we use for divorce benefits, for divorced people. I mentioned the first week that most of these strategies tend to center around situations in life that you go through. Some of them might apply, some of them may not apply. Some of you have been divorced, some of you probably haven't been divorced. But divorce benefits are also, like the spousal benefits, another area that's not ever mentioned on your Social Security earnings statement. So a lot of people miss it because they don't even know that it exists. Like with spousal benefits, you receive the Social Security's earnings report based on your work history, what your benefit is going to be, and there's no mention whatsoever of a divorce benefit. There's no mention whatsoever of a spousal benefit. Both of those benefits are based on the Social Security number of another person. Spousal benefits and divorce benefits are very, very similar. We're actually, instead of filing on a record 50% on the record of our spouse, we're actually filing on 50% of the record of our ex-spouse. That's what a divorce benefit is. But I meet people all the time at my seminars that did not know that there was an opportunity for them to receive more money by filing for a benefit on their ex. It's really sad to me because quite often those people have stayed home, they've sacrificed their work history, they've gotten divorced, and they've gone back to work to try to make ends meet, and they just don't realize that they have a Social Security benefit out there waiting for them for retirement. And the primary reason why we have divorce benefits is to protect women from those types of situations. But the awareness of it is just really not very good. So let's go through what makes you eligible for a divorce benefit. There's a lot of similarities here between a spousal benefit, but in general, what you have to be is single, age 62 or older. You'll find the age 62 number pretty much applies to most Social Security benefits. There's one exception to that, which we're actually going to cover next week. But most of the time, you're eligible for some Social Security benefit if you're 62 or older. Now, with a divorce benefit, you do have to be single. You cannot be remarried. If you get remarried, you lose the ability to have the divorce benefit. But then you become eligible for the spousal benefit, which we talked about over the last week or two. Spousal benefits were there if you're married for a year or more. Single, divorce benefits will be there. But if you are remarried, you will lose those benefits. There are two divorce benefits. There's one benefit if your ex is alive. There's one benefit if your ex is dead. There actually is a widow benefit for divorce benefits. But let's talk first about if you're filing and they're alive. The other requirement for a divorce benefit is that you've been married for 10 years. So if you're single, age 62 or older, and you were married for 10 years before you got divorced, you're eligible for a divorce benefit. If you're filing on your ex-spouse, you're entitled to 50% of their full retirement age benefit. That is the divorce benefit. Or 100% if it's a divorced widow benefit. Either one of those situations. But you're eligible for both of them if you've been married for 10 years or more. Does it matter what your spouse is doing? Does it matter whether or not your spouse is retired, not retired, continuing to work, not working, whatever? In general, it does not. As a general rule, if it's been 2 years since the filing of the divorce, there's an independent situation between the person filing for the divorce benefits and the ex. It doesn't really matter what the ex is doing. The ex doesn't have to be retired, does not have to be receiving a benefit for you to be entitled to a divorce benefit. But that only takes place after 2 years. Less than 2 years, there are some implications. There's some additional requirements which are a little bit beyond the scope of what we're going to talk about here, but you can actually go to our website and get that information. Excuse me. So in general, what I'm addressing are those that have been divorced for 2 years or more, and that's 2 years from the date of filing, not from the date of the resolution. 2 years from filing. So if you're single, age 62, you were married for 10 years or more, and your divorce has been longer than 2 years, you're eligible for a divorce benefit. The divorce benefit is equal to 50% of the ex's full retirement age benefit. Now, several things I get into and when I help folks with divorce benefits. The first is I usually particularly at my seminars, I will get a lot of questions about, will he know? You know, it's a situation, there's a lot of tension, it's not a good situation with the ex. Will he know? Will there be any kind of effect on his benefit? And the answer to those questions are no. It doesn't have anything to do with him. This is a legal benefit that you are entitled to, one in which you, if you've been married for 10 years or more, you are entitled to. It has nothing really to do with he or she. The biggest problem that I run into with divorce benefits are actually verifying the benefit. Because it's 50% of your ex's full retirement age benefit, sometimes we don't really know whether or not it's an advantage or not an advantage. In a divorce situation, there typically is a lot of income that was hid. Most people don't really know what the ex is making. So how do you verify this? How do you determine whether or not it's a good benefit for you? How do you determine whether or not you should even file this way versus filing your own for your own benefit? So in order to do that, you're going to have to know what your ex makes, which generally isn't going to be given to you voluntarily in most situations. So this is where we get into the biggest problem, because people have to verify this with the Social Security Administration. So a lot of times when I'm doing planning with somebody that's divorced, and I want to see whether or not the divorce benefit is going to be a higher way, or the greater way for them to file, and I want to see what that number is from a planning purpose so we can be prepared for retirement, what the person has to do is they have to go down to the Social Security Administration in person. This is not something that can be done over the phone. It is not something that can be done over the internet. You have to call and set an appointment. You have to go down to the office and do it in person. And when you go down there, you have to have your marriage certificate and your divorce decree. And you've got to show the caseworker that you're eligible this 10 years. You got to show them the documents. Show them that you're eligible for 10 years. And because you're not going to be able to verify this information without that. Even though you're legally entitled to this, you still have to prove to them that you are. The Social Security Administration typically resists providing this information for privacy reasons, because it's information. You're basically, when you are filing or you're calculating what the divorce benefit is, you know what the ex makes. He or she may not want you to know that. So there's some privacy issues involved with this. And even though you're legally entitled to it, it's not really easy to verify. If you have more than one ex, you actually can file on the higher of the two. So if you were married to one person for 10 years or more, got divorced, got remarried to someone for 10 years or more, you can actually pick the higher of the two divorce benefits. So you can verify the divorce benefit for either of them. And as far as which one you would want to, you can't receive both of them at the same time, but you can file on the one that has the highest earnings history and receive a higher amount. You're not restricted in any way on that. But the biggest thing that I want to get across to most people that are a little bit worried about this is that the ex is not going to know that you're filing for a divorce benefit. It's not going to have any kind of effect on them whatsoever. It's really not going to have any bearing on anything other than just giving you some additional Social Security benefits that you can file on. Now, I mentioned that there was 3 exceptions. We talked a little bit in previous weeks about the deemed filing rules. And I don't want to get too technical, but the deemed filing rules are the new standard going forward with the Social Security, where we just cannot pick and choose how we receive our benefits. Once we file, that's pretty much it. But they left 3 exceptions. The first exception we talked a little bit about in previous weeks about the spousal benefit. There's another exception for divorce benefits, which I want to cover very quickly. There are no deemed filing rules if you wait until your full retirement age to file for a divorce benefit. And what that means is if you were born before 1954 and you qualify for a divorce benefit just like you normally would, married for 10 years or more, and you wait until your full retirement age to file for that benefit, you have the opportunity to receive a divorce benefit while preserving your own benefit. So just like with a spousal benefit, we have the opportunity to receive the spousal benefit, but then come back and file for your own benefit at age 70. You could do the same thing with a divorce benefit, but you do have to be born before 1954, and you do have to wait until full retirement age to do that. But if you do those 2 things, if you qualify under those 2 things, as well as just the general qualifications for divorce benefits, you have the opportunity to receive a divorce benefit for several years while still coming back and filing for yours at age 70. And this is a very overlooked exception that's out there. I just want to cover it because it's very, very, very helpful for a lot of women.
You've been listening to Insights with Philip Wilson, an Alabama registered investment advisor. Learn more by visiting his website at ssmistakes.com or by calling 205-868-9297.